available to answer any questions or to do whatever we can do to make our guests, make them feel comfortable here as they go into different food and the service. And I believe that God's going to be here. And if we cover with prayer like we did last night, then when we gather together in unity, one mind and one accord, and it doesn't have to be in a church service like tonight for God to move. Because we are the church. We come together to worship God, Spirit and truth. And I'm thankful for God giving us the grace to have this prayer meeting, and for y'all that are covering out. I thank you all for making the effort. And I know sometimes it's hard to make it on a weeknight. We all have such busy lives, and if it's not alone the distance that people have to travel to get here, but it is beneficial. Brother Bates was saying it's something that will help us, and we'll see the benefits from it. It's not like writing blank checks, hoping that that you have enough in the account to cover it, or writing a check. So if you have your Bibles, we're going to start in Hebrews. Hebrews, the 11th chapter. Everybody say faith.
Faith.
Now faith is the substance. Now faith. Everybody say now faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. By faith Enoch was translated, that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased God. But without faith, everybody say without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to him, cometh to God, must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved without fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after he received for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. Let's stay right there for a second. Abraham went out not knowing where he was going. Sometimes God leads us into places that we have no clue. The unknown. Okay, let's go to the next one. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in the tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in the multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore, innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is a heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, that is in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Y'all may be seated. Thank you for standing for the reading of God's word. Tonight I want to speak on this subject, a now faith. A now faith. The world that we are living in is hungry. Not hungry for another handout or for a place to hang their membership certificate. Not even just to see a warm, smiling face. The master of confusion has been busy sowing seeds of doubt and unbelief for so long that it's going to take men and women of faith to step out. Step up and boldly speak the miraculous by faith in the name of Jesus. The devil and his crew, they've been blinding the eyes and stopping up the ears of people who have been searching for something to bring relief from carrying the burden of sin. True freedom. There are many religious groups today. I might have even used these same stats, but it's powerful to think of this world, the church world. There are 350,000 religious congregations in the United States alone. 350,000. Just by doing a simple math problem, if these churches were divided evenly, we're talking 7,000 churches in every state. 7,000 churches in every state. So it's obvious that things could get a little confusing if you had to work your way through the traditional, misinformed, and misconstrued mass of people who say they know who God is. And what do you do when you've been to the 75th church who claim that they know who God was? And you receive salvation their way. And still the same results. No power, no hope, no peace, and most of all, there's no change. That morning when Abraham woke up and headed toward Moriah to offer his only son as a burnt offering, I can almost hear his thoughts and remember the voice of God telling him, I will confirm my covenant with him and his descendants as an everlasting covenant. So without hesitation, he saddled up his donkey. He grabbed two of his servants and wood for the burnt offering and his son Isaac as the offering and headed for Moriah. What Abraham didn't realize at the time is what God was going to use his faith of journey to shape the idea of stepping out in faith until the second coming of Christ. Abraham's act of faith will influence every generation to come. Not just then and not just now, but future generations. How powerful is that to think that when I step out in faith, it's going to affect generations from here on out. When people start hearing of the great and mighty things that are going to happen in Winchester because the people of God are going to step out in faith and they're going to walk by faith, it's going to affect future generations. And they're going to remember this church as a church who stepped out in faith. How great a thought that one act of faith can affect generations and generations. That's what the world is looking for, that one act of faith, the one experience when we actually moved when God told us to, when we were in tune with Him, when we were in tune with the Spirit of God. And He said, move and pray for them, reach for them, speak to them, listen to them. It's in that moment, if we could just remember what Abraham did and how he moved and he didn't question God's request, but he stepped out into the unfamiliar, not knowing what was going to take place, but believing that God will provide. We can somehow get to the place where we stop trying to analyze or try to figure out what God is doing and just move first and not give place for the what ifs. What if He doesn't do it? What if God's telling me to reach for this person and they completely reject me? What if God tells me that He's going to heal this person and that He wants to use me to go do it? What happens if I step out in faith and He doesn't do it? What is my response? What is my response when I step into the unknown? Am I going to fall into this default mode that God's not going to come through with His word? He's not going to come through with His promise, that He's not going to do what He said that He would do? And if He chooses not to do it, is it going to change my worship? Is it going to change my attendance in the house of God? Is it going to affect me from coming to prayer night? Or is it going to drive me to His feet one more time and one more time and one more time? God, I don't understand why it didn't happen the way that I thought that You were trying to do it. But I'm not going to give up. And I'm going to keep holding on to it. And eventually, God, I know that You're going to use me when I step out. God, don't let me lose a now faith. Don't let me lose the faith that I know that You can do it now. Yeah. And if You choose not to do it, then that's You. He's got His reasons why. Some needs are obvious and others are hidden, but everyone is in need of something. Everyone that we come in contact with is in need of something. If they're not saved, it's obvious that they're in need of salvation. If they've never been baptized in Jesus' name, then it's obvious that they need to be baptized. But there are some things that they may not just talk about that's going on in their life. Maybe their life is a wreck at home, and there's so many problems at home. But everyone is in need of something. There's not a person alive on this planet that's not in need of something. Although people might make it seem like that they don't need anything. That's a facade. That's pride. Well, I don't need anybody's help. You know, I've always heard that don't count people out, because the person that is hungry the most might surprise you. It might be somebody that you thought, God is never going to do anything in that life. I've got a couple of people like that at my job that I think, Lord, why am I working with this guy? But he could be the one. He could be the one that God sent me there to get. And so I've got to keep the door open. And I've got to be willing at the time to step out in faith with a now faith. That God, I know that You can use me to reach this individual. I know that You can use me to do whatever Your will is in that moment. Maybe that person you come in contact with at work or school or just in passing on the sidewalk is that lame man at the gate called Beautiful, waiting for Peter to step out in the boldness of faith and say, I don't know your story and I don't know what you've been through, but let me introduce you to the only true and living sovereign God. If you need healing, He's a great physician. If you are in need of counsel, He's the wonderful counselor. If you are in need of peace, He is the Prince of Peace. If you're broken and in need to be put back together, He's a potter. You need to come to the potter's house. I know that who can pick up the broken pieces and begin to mend a life. If you're looking for love, because I know the world is looking for love and they're looking in all the wrong places, but let me take you to where love is. That God is love. Let me take you to where people love God and God works through His people. And there's real love. If you're looking for the change, looking for freedom, the power to overcome addictions, then you must be talking about being born of the water and the Spirit. The death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. The death, the burial, and the resurrection, and the new life in Christ. Christ in you, the hope of glory. That's what the world wants to see, faith at work. I believe people want to see the power of God and believe that the dead can live again. Not just physically, but spiritually. The blinded eyes can be opened, that the lame can walk. Have we gotten to a place where we haven't seen it? And so we think maybe it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Maybe God's not going to do it in my lifetime. Maybe He's not going to use this generation, but I believe that He's waiting for someone that's hungry. He's waiting for somebody that's willing to put everything else in the background and seek His face and turn from their wicked ways, and then He will heal. Then He will deliver. The enemy of our souls has lied and caused so much confusion that some people believe God is not in the miracle-working business anymore. Is it just a coincidence that the top two denominations in the United States as far as membership in churches are losing its members? And while others are on the same slope, the apostolic church is increasing. It's because people like us who are tired of not being used by God start stepping out and trusting God, not knowing what is going to come of it, but standing on the promises of God that I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. In my name you shall cast out devils. In my name you shall lay hands on the sick and they will recover. And now faith. On the third day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. And Abraham told his servant, stay here and wait. The boy and I will travel a little farther. We as the body of Christ need each other for fellowship, for strength, and for help. And that's what Tuesday night prayer meeting does. I don't know why I thought of us linking together and praying together as a linked body. But I feel like it's been powerful when we do that. And I want to continue to do that because I feel that draws us closer together. And not anybody is excluded. I don't want anybody to ever feel like that they don't fit in. That they're not part. Because we'll never grow if people don't feel like that they can feel a part. Now, I don't feel that in this church. I don't feel a resistance to outsiders coming in. And that's awesome. God's going to allow that to bring in people to this church. We need each other for help and strength. But at some point in our walk of faith, my walk with God, it's going to have to just be you and your sacrifice. It's in those moments that we find out how much we really trust God. Abraham's faith was absolute. He knew God would make a way. He was just not sure how he was going to do it. We know that God's going to come through, and we know that God's going to perform the miraculous. We're just not sure how He's going to do it. And so we just got to walk by faith and walk in the Spirit and wait for it to happen, because it's going to happen. He even told his servants, we will worship there and come back. Does that sound like somebody that's going to give up their son, that's going to lose their son? He said, we're coming back. He knew that God was going to come through. He knew that the promise that He had given him earlier on, that it wasn't going to stop there. God has told you to do something and you have done it to the best of your ability, and the journey seems uncertain and everything you do seems to fall short, and you question whether or not you have enough faith. Keep stepping out. Hold on to your sacrifice, because He's preparing your faith to impact generations ahead of you. Sometimes it takes the thought of losing everything and not seeing or understand what God is doing to trust that He is still in control. That no matter what, He will provide. We see a beautiful picture on top of that mountain. Type and shadow of the cross. God will provide Himself a sacrifice. Faith is the firm belief in something for which there is no proof. The theological virtue defined as secure belief in God and a trusted acceptance of God's will. It was Noah who was told to build an ark from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out, then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior to make the boat 450 foot long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Noah had detailed instructions on what to build, but the only reason he needed to build it was because God told him to build it. That was enough for him. So after receiving the instructions and then gathering all of the needed materials, considering there was no Lowe's or Home Depot, or you can just go pick up about 4,000 pounds of lumber. That's such a intense image. To think what he had to do to build that thing. Let's just say it took a while to get the material. Meanwhile, he had to be a father. He had to be a husband, a provider for his family. So let's just say that was his sacrifice for him, was to do that. As others were relaxing, enjoying their evening, he was building a refuge out of faith. Noah listened to the scoffers and poured everything into his family and his calling. For years, all he had was God's word and his sacrifice. I'm sure he had moments where he questioned whether or not he was doing the right thing, but it never stopped him. It was years of sacrifice before he saw the fruit of his labor. Let me just say this. You may feel that everything you are doing is not good enough, or what you are building does not make a difference, but keep building. Keep walking and keep reaching. It takes a while to build a refuge big enough for God to fill it. I can hear the voice of God. Keep building. Keep working. Keep reaching. The rain is coming. Keep reaching for those in the city, because the rain's coming. It's going to fall in this church. Keep building. Keep reaching. Keep seeking the face of God. Don't listen to the scoffers. The rain is coming. You've been building an ark for years, but keep building. The rain is coming. If Noah would have listened to the scoffers or listened to the voice of doubt and stopped building, then the very souls who he was responsible for would have been lost. If Abraham would have stopped at the foot of the mountain and gave up and said, "Why should I sacrifice my only son?" then it would have been somebody else's story of faith to influence future generations. You see, God will always have His people who will walk by faith and whose testimony will stretch through the span of time. Why not keep it as your testimony? Why not make it your story of faith and how God used you by your willingness to carry your sacrifice? Abraham didn't give up. It wasn't someone else's story, because it was meant for him. So he walked up that mountainside, just him and his only son, the sacrifice. Isaac realizing there was no sacrifice. He asked his father, where is the sacrifice, Dad? Abraham by faith said God would provide himself a lamb. As he built the altar and put his son on it, it wasn't until moments later that he met Jehovah Jireh, the provider. The very last moment, Abraham proved his faith in God. In conclusion, I'm going to close with this. Living by faith is simply disregarding what plausible conclusion we can come up with. We have to get our mind, our analysis on the matter, we've got to get it out of there. It's imperative that we shut the door on decisions made by human logic.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't make sense, God. Because there's plenty of churches, I believe, that probably have confined themselves to only what seems logical, what only makes sense. But I want to be a church, I want to be a part of a church that lives their life expecting the unexplainable. But that's a church by faith. I remember Brother Bounce, and I've told this before, but it was so powerful when he was talking in ministry and preaching. And how do you spell faith? R-I-S-K. It's good, isn't it?
Yes.
Highly accomplished. That's good. Faith is you stepping out, not realizing, not knowing how it's going to happen, how it's going to come about. God tells us, He might tell us something that just sounds completely odd, crazy. But that's what we say. I believe you can do it, God, so I'll just go. I'll make myself available. I'll take my sacrifice. Doesn't make sense, but you're God and I'm not.
That's right.
And take the pressure off of me. In the realm of human reasoning, it wasn't realistic for Noah to build an ark or for Abraham to sacrifice his only son. But somewhere we have to eradicate our thinking of the rational and trust that trust that if God tells us to do something, regardless if it sounds crazy, then we do it. Because the choice that we make based on our trust in God and not on our reasoning will be the faith for the next generation. The now faith for the next generation. Let's all stand. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm repetitive a lot. But I know that in this book, we must preach it, teach it, sing it, until we get it.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes we don't get it the first time. That's why you might hear a message and you might hear some of the same thoughts. And the thing is as a church, we all learn at different points, different ways. So maybe it's not for you, but maybe it's for somebody else. But we can't tune out the Word of God because it's valuable to have it in our hearing, to hear how God touches lives. You know, that's a faith builder right there. It's when you hear a testimony of how God stepped in because somebody stepped out.
Oh, yes.
You know, when I look at the life of Brother Stoneking, those who have walked in the Spirit and used in the gifts of the Spirit, I often think, what are people going to do when they're gone? Who's going to step up? Who's going to carry that? Out of all the people that we have in the United Pentecostal Church, we need more to desire the gifts of the Spirit.
Oh, yes.
We need more than just one or two a generation that has enough faith where miracles can take place. step out of their comfort zone. Step out of how we limit God. We limit God by staying in our seat. Not stepping out. It's beautiful to watch y'all step out and pray for one another. That's awesome. Keep doing that. We need to do more of that.
That's right.
Because God moves when we do that.
Yes, he does.
God touches people when we do that. When God tells you to go get somebody, go get them. You don't have to bring them up front. You can just go put your arm around them, pray for them. Show them that you care. Show them you love them.
That's right.
And we'll watch God do some great things. I want to be a person that steps out in faith. Can we just close our eyes? In our own words, let's ask the Lord, how can I step out in faith? What is it that I can do, God, to prove that my faith and my trust is in you? Give us a now faith, because we live in a generation that has now needs. God, I pray that you would consume us, our thoughts, our life, that we would surrender every aspect of it, God, that we would step out in faith. Wherever you lead, we will follow. Where you lead, we will go. Be a church called by your name, and when you call for us, we will travel. We will pack up our things and move and follow you, Jesus. Oh God, that we would know your voice. Speak to us, Lord. Give us ears to hear your voice, Lord. And help us, God. I don't want you to use somebody else but me. Use me, God. I don't want you to give my story to somebody else. But God, help me to embrace the purpose and the will that you have for me, and that I will be obedient when you say move. God, help us to be obedient. Help us to be obedient. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. Our sacrifice is nothing as if we're not obedient.